يكايا يخستيني لتكت يوهان الشي s'igéidi شخوايا أختوسكو دخ إيد أيا وتساآخي نيتلهاش كوكسا كتخت سيوخك كوكسا أوي كخشخت ياتا دو يوختنجي جايك جنكي قياستك قاساتو خنخوي شكشنيك تاتيخ ستي أجوي أختوسكو دخ إيد وتساآخي إتخ ويشكشنيك داتو يوخك أختوتلا أخو يوهان قلتي يسكو إشكشنيك شخوايا دخ إيدي دخ تساآخ الشي s'igéidi لتكت يوهان gaawú يا يدت
يورتسو
هو تلتسي
alak'áchʼ
تلشين ख़utuliwóotl'i يا دوا
يورتسو alak'áchʼ s'igéidi يسقلك يوا s'igéidi دتواسقو يدلشيت خداصيخ يكون قكي يتاوك ديسي alak'áchʼ خويشتا ما سيق يلاق لخيك يكي لخيك وجي يتاوك ديسي سيق هينشل تطلق جال كاو كيق كقي قول هكا خط أني القينيا يا تول يتا هذا يكوجي يواس خط خاي أي يو يسوع s'igéidi هين قاعد أشور قدوة
Where are you? Home.
هين قدوتي قاد داك وهو
s'igéidi.
أخذت شو كت هين قود هوتسو
Johan mute.
هسه أطلق خلقت قوتل يم تطلق تين أصلين يحكي وقت s'igéidi سو تقا كوا جيسو يكون السياق خختم دكيخ يا هذا تاك يا نسيتي دقوس تلاقي إتنخ تلاقوتلي أجي s'igéidi قوسي ستيني تلاق دقاقوتلي
يا صدقي وش كشنيك قل أسكي قل جاكوت يدي وخو أخ وش كشنيك أخو يوهان قل داتي يجي جيني يا كيشي هو كاونيك قل يسكو John Swanton you do sagan away we kleinach we ha chut aya u gut chalk a kaushe hit aya klein gitchkashniki we cook aya ko a kaushe hit just konachwe uski weshkashnik shkashnik kisani kwash ach weshkashnik klein aya kutzeti aadé ayash kadulneek ye chakut ye detsu ye awa katinas yidu asakwiq wiqa ha ina kawanik gled qaqinach wishkashnik wal akhu yohan wal isekutsu wal ha in aya shkakachilnik heich wasak kwati wal chishukashkashniki at kagachtu ye awa ch'aak konachwe ch'aak s'igéidi alak'áchʼ wuxkhuni khas wustien qodne wuxtgeit yu hasqawla ʼadudli.átk s'igéidi du t'aawáḳ jin kadulneek t'aawáḳ yak gwahihi just cleig t'aawáḳ jin du t'aawáḳ wooch t'aawáḳ t'aawáḳ iti ḳután yes yak ḳuha dulshát t'aawáḳ iti ḳután yes alak'áchʼ cleig just cleig hin t'aawáḳ gwell llidzi qajik gwati jin wooch gwell achchawe s'igéidi t'aawáḳ ya ashukat du hitiyique wutien alak'áchʼ ya gaawú achiwanaq du hitiyik s'igéidi konajwe du t'aawáxku gwell achchawe qone wooch t'igéidi has ʼadudli.átk helkaden hasaka ya t'aawáḳ kun t'aawáḳ sakshawe has du tuwati adatawe wooch t'igéid has ʼadudli.átk Agawe s'igéidi t'aawáḳ hiti nach tu'at yisuku alak'áchʼ tl'aawashkuk aadé atwuduhuya s'igéidi t'aawáḳ dik'ikaj kegu du dik'ikake uwagut alak'áchʼ hin yanajuen ya du atwutlajach nalhash'adi duwasago'at nalhash'adi gwell atwutlajach as manqanins wooch ǩawtlajitzi'at as yandajun s'igéidi hiti gwell xq'awtlayelqu du hitij usti utusuku guksa has du hiti q'ayaj s'igéidi hit nalhash'adi uwahu du dik'ikaj wugut alak'áchʼ yande wuhu s'igéidi du t'aawáḳ alak'áchʼ yawatlaqi alak'áchʼ tlaynaj wuti achawe qone k'awashi naqalt'ij wutlit'ikawe qanajawe wugut nelte wananisawe wooch keitas wuda'at alak'áchʼ hiti nach tu'at ya du hiti as tlayn konajliyati as s'igéidi tl'aawashkuk as yikte kim dik'eidi achawe alak'áchʼ dik'ikaj kegu gwell s'igéidi k'aden akat uwagut gaawú qanajawe alak'áchʼ achawe alak'áchʼ duwasago'at as yide kewdik'at s'igéidi du dik'ikaj wugut yinde wutitleid adaj wugut s'igéidi adat yututatan tl'ade yinde q'akudiya Tesla de yindin ḳutuliwóotl'i. Tzatquyeqa qo'a T'aawáḳ. T'aawáḥ taqaq'inaq. Tl'alhkateen aya yinde wut'tleiti qo'a. Just tl'takatwe asa qanaq awe wut. Awlliqaas. Achawe kwallisatin we tuq. Chuya s'igéidi. Gaawú. Qanaq awe ḳutuliwóotl'iaq tutin ya yidat. Ye awa aadé ayaawatlaqiya. We alak'áchʼ. S'igéidi ayaawatlaaq. Ya yidat just clay the heen we talk. Achtu yake. Kesh achtu ashku. Jin kat the heen kanach aya we glade khwa. Ye awa khwa achish kadulneek. Kaya yidat. Achu auhan. Klingit. Duchai atawe s'igéidi. Kach alak'áchʼ. Keshayachu ti qo'a kwalliqaas. Wooch in wudus'i. S'igéidi kakiha alak'áchʼ. alak'áchʼ kakiha s'igéidi. Just tleqa. Kachiha. Ye awa khwa'ach. Wish kadulneek dan ch'aak. Just daqaqash kadulneeki. Shkatquan hasu has awas kuwan. Yesh kadulneek. Clean aqudzatitsu. Kalchashugu awe. Iltakatqu'u adish kadulneekya. Wan qanins chayigu king ch'qutyete. Yew achtuasaku T'aawáx'i. Qa'adadiu ʼatudli.átk. Wasa yituwuch yuhan yitquaha.
Q'uné
Ah,
Juan I xkalnigi yik'eq alak'áchʼ we s'igéidi tsu kwallia we chk'atquan tasa
Gwell alcoholic a kaushahit wish kadulneek John Swanton. Alak'áchʼ wene ch'aak. Qachqan aak. Gwellie. Okay?
Dawk'asaya dawk'a as dalluni kamduk.
Ech a kutzitiqo a duk. Tekach enach tlech yach hadayeti. Cottonwood. Witatsu dakka poplar. Shugusai. Kasi ach yewe at khatra. Kekaga. Wasa yisiku dakasa. Just witisuku. We eight kadukko a gwashisatin. We wasatu sago at Shei dashuni.
spruce
Ye awe. Shei dashuni. With late enough potato chips yach. Potato chips yach do a teen. We duk. Kesh duk yan. Yan again?
hemlock duk cottonwood
That yach do teen koa we yan dashuni. Gishutai again. Dakasa gishutai. A kat sewak just take the hin hanakawa nikwit. Kainaka. Yitua gesuku yisuku dak asaway. Potato chips yachtu teen shade. Duk dachune ko yisitin way s'igéidi. Alak'áchʼ. Dulshát teen. That's the way gaawú. Yisuku get.
Yasaka
Shay, potato chips? I'm not understanding. Sorry.
The dashuni, that's the way dashuni.
Bark?
Yeah, what?
Oh,
The bark looks like potato chips.
Yachduatin.
That's the way ishkachnikwe gishu tai.
The only thing I ever heard was
Someone was telling me, like, you look at the bark of the trees and you could tell which one's which. He said one looks like potato chips, one looks like bacon. I think that's the way, but then I started to say it and think it, but then I forgot in English how it even went. Ishad Han, ya ach tundutani dat yeji yini, yiguayach one. It's like the captain of your boat is just really all over the place. Let's go over there. Oh wait, no, let's go there. Oh wait, no, on the way there, let's go here. Yat atsu adat you tuch the tunk. T'aawáḳ as sawi, yituasagu, yitlaqi. Wash at khan ani, at khan hiti. Daqaqu at hit. T'aawáḳ as sawi ituati. Ayuku genka kawagani. Ayig. T'aawáḳ.
What's a s'igéidi for s'igéidi hidi or
Dam. Oh, dam?
Well, like beaver dam, and
Kidu. But I've
Kidu?
also Kidu, and I've heard Sakit.
Sakit.
Sakit. Sakit would be it dammed the river. S'igéidi Sakit. Tuasagu tu yang hastu ḳutuliwóotl'i. Ya yata kach walkiwe yadua.
alak'áchʼ too.
Hastu hiti like asatu sak hastu hiti isakuga.
s'igéidi.
Danahin. Danahin ayat drinking water. Danahin saku. It will become drinking water. Gachtusqit. It will be damned. Chat gachtusqit. I'll be damned. Aqawe hooch. Uksa yadu atsu gwalhisaku. Ya spreadsheet kutsati. Atlein at atuyeti. Jefflear ai. Yadu beaver. Hasi hitiqo a. Techasatin. Asai kutsatiqo a. Kuksa kachshikit. T'aawáḳ chai. Yatatsu. Aadé ḥutuliwóotl'i tuasagu yisatini. Gwalchwan qanin s'chatqai woozi. Aqa yata atude. Yang kachshikitle qaqinach s'igéidi. Aqa s'igéidi ayi. Ajawi we has awshayech. We has awsaqit aya we nadayi. S'igéidi ayi. S'igéidi qidi. Wal qidu. Qit. Saqit. Yeawa. Dam. s'igéidi ʼáyi, ja hast du neeli. Ye ʼáwáḳ hast du t'aawáḳ gaawú ḳutuliwóotl'i, s'igéidi ʼáyi. Kaik gwal aadé hast du t'aawáḳ has aadé. Kaik hast du t'aawáḳ adach has wooch. Has nuch. Has ausagukzu at woochagi. Okay. Ich wawust zu. Gwal at kan hiti khandik gigut. Gwal itwasagu at khishi naidi t'aawáḳ daq as sawe as ʼuni. Isikuke ʼuni?
Shun.
Which honey?
Sa. Kadine ge yuchachwatan.
Dallwn lliw.
Sa. Gleit ka clinach. Ja, du. Oh, llw. Wait. Llw. Dawch as tin cwci chan. Isikuke at chan hiti t'eqhit. Das away at chan hiti. Ka t'eqhit. Gleit ka clinach das away.
Smokehouse.
Ye away. Dawch as sa koa. Sheye, llach, chai, keishish, sheikh, duk. Dawch as I tuati. At kan hiti yig.
Daka. Golle wikishish.
Oh, keishish, okay.
Sheikh too.
Oh, sheikh, okay, okay.
Kunnach keshish we. Katchanak we de.
Oh, okay. Chakuta trike, Johan. Achsani away ade achi au letuya. Kanachwe de tawasugu duk. Akawe kuwashi. Shachk. Isikuke dasawe shachk.
Muskeg.
Ah. Shachk awe akakuwashi. We deshu ayatu hiti deshu. Naki de koa wukur. Kak on Dane. Akawe we shachk akaya. Shachk ka akakuwashi. We duk. Konachwe de tawasagu. Oh, was asaya kutzititsu. Akakakwashi Johan. Dawch asa. Yata. Llach. We as. Dewu na. Keshda llwni cwsti. Gwelchayegu gink. Chwnachawe llawch iachia ti dy cadwe as. Cha an coa. At lla yata iach. Ka. Yata tsu. Ka sage. Chatsu an qanin slidzi. Llingit chinach i'w chachwatani. Igo ay achwan Johan. Wooch in. Yagach tutlaq. Wooch in. Gugsa. Qats awech kutzati. Yashtakatwe as. Yak. Konachwe dutoasagu yaksani. Nagude, you do a sock. Nagude. Lekach enach Dwayne Wilson. Yeah, away. Oh, yeah, that's it. Washin Hasha again. Just wait, dictionary tin, ni inu akwatan. Yeah, yuki. It was akwati. Yadu. Gun anduhash hasha. Shtachash washin. Washye awechoach. Shtachash washin. On away. We as. Yawaqich. Aqa away. Wushtach away awachash. Wash. Yatayach yikshiaki a. Klesh shachut atin. Klesh wushtach awachut. Kleik. Du tawasakut the cut at. De in kachonigi. Qats kutzati. Guksa. Hait wadishi a. Yakuk. Yaqats away. A kutzati. Yata. We blowtorch teen. Qone awa akausakan. Aqa wushtach aya. Akauskani. Yewe dituasaku. Yewe achtuasaku khwasaku. Khwashakugu. Adedu khanya. Winayati atchishi. Qad. Yuwu. Nayati qanachoya qiyake. Ilchisha qiti sa akhi.
Osaka.
Ah.
Chalk, Hluwu, Yayati. Is that the same with Hluwu? Like Chalk, Nakin? Yeah.
Oh.
Chalk, Hluwu, Yakyati. Is that the same as the Hluwu you were talking about? Hluwu?
Oh, okay. Yeah, they're a little different. Let me pull up a note thing. And then we'll make the. So so we have, let's see what I'm trying to.
Yisukugi Kashachet. Joe Swanton, maybe?
A Koshahit, John Swanton.
John Swanton.
Yeah, so he's got a book of Tlingit stories, but they're all so tiny, just like little tiny versions. There's longer ones in different places. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's the way. These are kind of the same things, but kind of different. What's ʼak'áchʼ?
Nose?
Yeah, eagle.
Eagle nose, beak, yeah.
Yeah, it's a beak, and that's why a lot of I'll say nose all the time for a bird's beak, just because it's ʼtl in Tlingit. Right? ʼtl is either. So why would it change to ʼak'áchʼ?
Isn't it because the chalk is possessing it, so it would become a possessed noun, so ʼtl would turn to ʼtl.
Yes, and body parts usually become possessed when they're removed. So if I was just the eagle's beak, or like people have bird beaks, so that. But this is a gray area, right? There are some speakers who say everything that's an animal part needs to have that possessive or relational suffix on it. I'm not sure, because I have heard people use body parts of animals without it. Keitlguk. But I think most of the clan house names are talking about a removed body part. So when they say keet hit, they're talking about like you can hold this killer whale's tooth. Because it's not like there's a killer whale right here and I'm showing you its tooth, right? I think it would be keet if it's in its mouth. But I think it's also one of these areas that's like, when you're not using the language all the time, some of these things get really gray. And it could be something that goes, but I don't fully buy that every animal part needs to have that relational thing. I think usually when we're talking about them, they are kind of removed. And so, but when you say ʼatánk s'igéidi, it's eagle, beak, yellow. So it is a orangish shade of yellow, because if you look at the eagle's beak, it's not a bright yellow, right? But then I think there's a difference between these things. But my middle one's really a theory. What are the differences between these three? Or what are these three things?
Wood.
They are wood, right? So you could say wood. Well, I don't think that middle one's wood, actually. But how are they different? Because these aren't the same things. Gun.
Firewood.
Yes, so gun is firewood, right? So I would say more specifically, gun is firewood.
Mhm.
Is wood. Like say you're gonna work in ʼxutuliwóotl'i. What am I trying to say?
You're using a spruce, you're working with spruce
Yeah,
wood to cut it?
yeah.
Or,
Let's say you're gonna make a mask.
right.
A'adé mask. ʼatánk. Why was it so hard for me to remember? ʼatánk. Okay, now we gotta work on that one. Since I forgot it, we gotta work on it.
Une,
Ah,
does ʼu refer to a piece of wood or to generically the solid thing?
so it would mean like wood. Like, oh yeah, that's made out of wood. Like, so it could be just generically wood, but you wouldn't say gun because now you're talking about firewood. But it could also mean like this is made out of the wood of red alder. So you could say ʼxutuliwóotl'i, kadulneek. So now we'll just go through this. We'll say ʼxutuliwóotl'i, kadulneek. What is that saying?
Spruce wood.
Not spruce though, it's s'igéidi.
Oh, say it. Sorry. Um. Oh, red alder.
For all the car, one time I had a piece of sheikh. I called it keshish in front of s'igéidi, and I got corrected. That's sheikh.
Or-
Keshish is the little skinny one that grows on the beach. Sheikh is the big tall one that's red when you cut it. Red alder. That one.
Wood.
With.
Is that a box or container?
Not quite. Now we gotta look at this word since I forgot it.
No.
This is made up of three parts. Anybody know what any of those three parts might be?
I'm guessing, really guessing. Nose.
Nose.
I have no idea.
How do you get Kate?
It is made out of, or
Not quite. So like we'll go find a whole bunch of examples with Kate on them.
Isn't it container?
There's da'kate, there's s'igéidi, there's ʼatánk, there's, oh, what is that thing called? Oh, it's a bad memory day. So I had a hard time sleeping last night. Full disclosure. Then here's my gripe session. I had 25 minutes between classes. And I had 4 meetings, like all of a sudden. It's just like, I gotta go. Okay, okay, ʼik'kate. If I complained, I would get it, okay. So there's a whole bunch of these things that have Kate. ʼkate is another one. Okay, so let me just check the dictionary real quick, make sure that I'm spelling these things right. Da'kate, ʼik'kate, oh, I'm winning so far. ʼatánk, s'igéidi. Oh, t'aawáḳ. Oh, wow. We'll leave that one. ʼatánk. Okay. Oh, no, I'm wrong on this one. Okay. So here's these things. And then let me tell you what you get. Well, here's another one. It's right there. So let me tell you how at the end of Kate is probably the most common word in the Tlingit language outside of awe. It's really something.
At.
So ut is something, right? It's a 4th person, non-human, independent pronoun. All over the place. All these tlukach, adi, tluknech, adi, daklawedi, all of them are popping up with these ut in the clan. So, what would come before ut that would change it into Kate?
Ka.
Yeah, oh well. So ka is on, right? So whenever you have ka, this is every Kate out there. Kate Hudson, Kate, no, I'm just kidding. So you've got ka and ut, it's you, Kate. So this is very common. So Tlingit will not allow vowels to run into each other. In Hawaiian, you just do something like, I don't know, you just blend them together. It's like, blend those vowels, blend them, whatever, vowel's a vowel, right? Tlingit's like, no, you gotta have a period, you gotta have a glottal, or you gotta change them into something else. So this happens all the time. So when you have da'kate, you have around, on, thing. Da'ka'at. S'igéidi, you have base of neck, thing. Right? So like an apron, or like a, what do they call it? Like a dance apron or a little bib. That's it, bib. Kate. Anybody know that one? Top of foot thing. So what do you think that's talking about?
Ankle?
The top of your foot.
Oh.
What kind of thing would Tlingit people talk about that's on the top of your foot?
Your leg?
Like, okay, so like here's your foot, like on the top, like the very top.
The arch of your foot?
That's the bottom.
Oh,
On the
I
other
see.
side. Go to the other side.
Toe hair? I don't know.
That'd be your toe. Yeah, you could have gaawú. That is a moccasin top. I don't know, is that what you call it in English? Like a little thing you bead and then you.
A vamp.
Huh?
Yeah.
Vamp?
Yeah.
Kate, right. Okay, so that gets us to our mystery piece. So someone once said, like, so when we came up with a name, what do you think this is then?
Base of your mouth thing?
Not really base, it's just mouth on thing. At we COVID,
Mask.
yes, like the cloth mask that people would be wearing. And so that's kind of the name that we came up with it. Nakashan named it. And someone once said, sounds like a box on your mouth. And I was like, no, it actually doesn't. Because dakate is the container, but it means around on thing, right? So mouth on thing, whoops, on thing. So now we've got another on thing, but what the heck is this on?
It's on a heron.
Well, that shuck, which would be cool, shuck Kate. I don't know what's on a heron, but. So here's, okay, now we gotta dig deeper into vowel switching. And then I'm gonna give you guys a motivational speech after this, okay? Because I think it's time for motivational speeches. Okay, so sometimes, like here's, okay, how am I gonna do this? If you have eo, what is that?
Sand.
Sand. If you combine eo and sha, right? So if those combine into a single word, this is what it's gonna look like. Oh, Shah. For some reason, not every time, but sometimes, I don't know, I haven't done the research on it, but sometimes when an EI contracts to a short vowel, it changes to an A. It doesn't happen all the time, but here's one. Here you can have dak, eo, at, I. That one will give you dak, ʼawáģi. Now you've got both vowels switching. You got two vowel switches there. You've got an EI to an A, and you've got an A to an EI. It's all over the place. Grandfather's people are just making vowels do all kinds of stuff. So if you converted that to an EI, what do you got? Which would be what? Thing on
Dancing.
and what do you think it is? We'll go back to this. Sheikh ʼuwúotl'i, s'igéidi, dulshát.
Wood thing,
Red alder wood with this thing, dulshát. People make it.
oh, so that's how you get to the dancing mask.
The mask, yes, that's the mask. Yeah, away. And I think this word was actually, in some dictionaries it's listed as regalia, but I think it's a mask. I think that's the way we talk about a mask. But I think we haven't been dancing with them for a long time, so it got a little slippery. But I had a long discussion with s'igéidi about this as well. Kate. And so when we talk about these things, it's really interesting. So we're going to pause the big lessons and other stuff. Advanced Tlingit for me is like we're trying to lead each other around in the thick, thick fog. Like just the thick fog out on the water. And sometimes I feel like some of us are going to feel like we have no idea what's going on. Suddenly lost. I used to know what was going on generally, but now I don't. I'm getting frustrated. I do believe it's part of the process. As you go from English to Tlingit, when you start to fully go over, I think the English side of your brain feels like this is the process, I think, of the decolonial part of language learning when you're talking about indigenous languages. I think that part of your brain is going to freak out. and think, I'm gonna drown, I'm gonna die, it's all over. That's one of the pills that colonialism puts in, is that if you go fully over, English will be just fine and you will be just fine. But I think there's a panic that happens. But I think if you just keep yourself there, it does start to go away. And it's a weird process for me to go from like beginning to intermediate to advanced, because we got to do more and more and more and more in the language. So you could sit down with these elders, and when they start talking, you're just there. You don't have to fall out and start thinking in English. But I think it's also an extremely disorienting process, because you have to go super hard, because we're dealing with these vowel switches and these conjugations and all this other stuff. But I do believe after years and years of it, it does start to work, maybe. But it's also like, that's why I tend to get pretty scatterbrained too, because there's so much stuff to cover. It's like even just one little thing will lead to 5 or 6 different things, because they are connected. Like all of this stuff. Like we just started with, this and the wood, and we're just having fun. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I really encourage you to stick to it and to like really support each other at this point. This is the point where I think historically most people have stopped, because it does require you. I think I've said it before. It's like we're all in the boat, the motor's running, it's in gear, and we're just holding on to the dock for some reason. And I think you just gotta let go. But then, we start talking about stuff and we're trying to like facilitate conversations. But maybe it's a good time for 2 people to volunteer to lead us through a discussion next Monday, so that we can try some different processes to get people talking. I'll be here, I'll talk, but I think we should start taking turns on leading the Monday activity, which means whichever two T'aawáḳ, whichever 2 brave people decide to do it, you could strategize a little bit, tell us on Wednesday what we're going to talk about on Monday, and then we'll just start this process. Every week we'll have a different group of 2 people. And you don't have to, it doesn't mean I expect you to talk for 90 minutes. That means like you just get us started and you just come up with an idea of something you think will get us talking. It's always hard. It's like, what did she say? Kesh kajit ukitch. It hasn't been pried out of people's hands yet. That was a Nora Downhauer classic. She was so like, whew. There were some people, once they started speaking Tlingit, you're like, whoa, I'm just in the deep end of the pool. I didn't even know it got this deep.
Could we like match up people who are like new to advanced to like the OG advanced people?
That's a good idea.
Yeah, because I don't feel like I could do it on my own.
That's a really good point, is that some of you are taking advanced Tlingit for the first time, and some of you are my repeat offenders, which is wonderful. But that means we should make sure that we're pairing up people who have done this before, because the magic is like we all grow stronger together. Wooch ke. So I think that's a great idea, is to say someone first time and someone who's back for more. Anybody want to go next week? And there's no pressure.
ʼatánk.
Oh.
Yes, kago.
It's like, now we need a long-term resident of the facility.
We'll do it.
Oh, sheesh.
Yeah.
So you get
Tish to eat woo.
do a direct chat if you want, if you need to share information. And just feel free to come up with some ideas. Wednesday, you can share with us what your ideas are. Sheesh. Oh, you missed some stuff in the chat.
Do we just pick new groups every time they're finished?
Yeah. So then we'll come up with a new group on Monday. Okay. Sheesh. Okay. Questions, thoughts, concerns?
I wanted to create a game for Pictionary and like kind of charades. I was wondering if you'd be able to tell us what it sounds like, it smells like, and it feels like.
Oh, okay. So let's.
So I have it looks like is ʼadudli.átk.
Yeah. So.
And then ʼadudli.átk is specific to color, right?
Yeah. So like yachiti would be like something. So you could say, so we'll say noun, yachiti. It is like noun. But there's a certain set of nouns that's going to push it into color. So not like, it's not a color every time.
Oh, okay.
So if I said ḥutuliwóotl'i, that's not a color. That would just mean it's like a bear. Yeah. What? But there's a whole set, and so s'igéidi Yarovara made this amazing poster. Let's see where is it? So I'll make sure to put a link to this in the chat since we're just talking about it. So like, there's quite a few colors in Tlingit, and she worked with a lot of speakers to get this list of, and it goes, and so you could see on the left here is the noun, and then on the right is the color version. And so the other thing I guess I would note about this is if you added yi and then noun, that's how you would do, like for example, Dana yach'yatiyi keet, silver killer wall. So that's how you would say so for example, Gleit yach'yatiyi douche would be a white cat. So yach'yatiyi is how you take care of that. So this list shows you the ones that would most likely push it into a color. There's certainly, I don't know where the other one is. There's a shorter one that I forgot to save. And I was just talking about this in another class. Like sometimes an organization will redo its website and then you lose all the stuff that you had links to. And they have a shorter poster, which is the more common colors. Like if you just go through here, T'aawáḳ, T'aawáḳ, Dana, ʼadé, ʼatánk, Tsu, Kayani, Goon. If you don't, that's dog pee yellow right there. So there's some of them that are certainly more common than others. But this shows you like the various gradients. And there's probably not a lot of speakers who would know quite a few of these anymore. But this one, anybody tell me anything about this one?
Nachinte, that's the I don't know. The copper
Oxidized
rock?
copper.
Yeah, copper rock.
So this one I might offer a different spelling based on how I've heard it, but there's also probably multiple ways to spell the thing. So let me, and then I've got the name of this rock, and then I got a little story about it too. So Nehinte is how I have seen it, and Nehinte. And so this is called, I don't know how to even say that word, splandonite? T'aawáḳ, Latin. But this is a soft clay-like substance, I think. And this is where that bluish green comes from. The OG pre-contact. Everybody's trying to mix their paints to get this color right. Nehin-te. And the way that it goes is like there were certain deposits of it and people knew where it was. And it was always far from any of the villages. And if you ever went to get it, a big storm would come. So you would really have to paddle fast to get back home because you'd have to outrun that storm. Because the first time that people found it, they took some of it because they thought it was such a cool color. But then a storm came and like they were all going to die. So they threw it all out of their boat. Like they just couldn't think of what else to do. So they were trying to lose some weight and they threw all that stuff out of their boat. And as soon as they did, the storm went away. So it's nehin te. So back to the original question, which is try not to get too distracted. Where did my notes go? Stop the share. 6. So now we're looking for.
I think I might have put the basic one. I think, is that the one you're looking for?
Oh, did you put it in the chat?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Let me save it so I don't lose it. Yeah, that's the one. Finish cheesh.
I had a question on the previous topic.
Oh.
What's the appropriate context or use for yeshla?
Oh, yesha? Yesha? If it's fake or counterfeit. Like this. Yeshadana. What do you think that would be?
Fake money.
Yeah.
Fake money.
Money.
Monopoly money.
Yeah, away.
So I don't remember where I came across it, but I came across that it used as a mask.
Oh, okay. I think I've seen that as well. Where did I? Okay, let me see if I can. Today's theme is one question leads to another, and no questions lead to answers. So I guess there's two themes of the class. It's probably in this dictionary. Oh, sometimes it doesn't like to find things. Okay, hold on.
So would that be like then thinking there's a fake face,
That could be.
a false face?
Yeah, like maybe that works for like. Oh, I bet you it'd work. I think it was on the list for the Halloween mask. That's what I
Oh,
think I saw it. Because okay, some days I can't talk and screen share at the same time. Actually, probably most days. Y'all have seen this spreadsheet, right? I'll put a link to this. I'll make one in numbers for you Apple people with kashuk, and I'll make one in Excel for the ʼadudli'. I don't know what to call them, PC, whatever. The Steve Jobs ʼku'uwu, and the who's the other guy? Well, we don't name after people.
Gates.
Okay. Oh, Yejane and what's that? Okay, never mind. What am I even looking for? Yesha. So this has like two main sheets. The first one, which I should name, will be s'igéidi. And the second one would be, we're going to call it TE. So if we go to s'igéidi, these are more or less alphabetical. But because it's a spreadsheet and not some program where you can customize the alphabet, the way it alphabetizes, the underlines and the regular X and the underline X are just right next to each other. So you just have to keep that in mind. And then, so we're going to look up Yesha, then I'll tell you about the TE side. So now we can go down to the Ys, which are somewhere. Okay, so here's yesha. So we get deceive, fool, and subterfuge. Okay. But it's also yeshayis, to fool someone. So before we pull that one apart and look at, that's probably a complicated word, and I'll tell you why. But if you go to the second list, which is TE, this is alphabetized by what we call the translation equivalent. And what that means, like, so if we looked up, for example, I was looking for the beaver's house. So you can look on this list under beaver, and maybe you'll find some things. So in this case, you would go down to beaver, and then over here you'd have, so you'd have to look to this side for the tlingit, and look to that side, I don't know if I'm pointing in the right directions for you, for what the translation is, or the definition, I guess. So here you got like deshiton, half-grown beaver, beaver oil sac, right? And so it's a pretty handy list to go look for things. But if we think about this word yesha, and we think about how tlingit works, yesha is made up of two parts. What are those two parts?
Meaning one or once.
And we have a verb root right before it.
Is that yesh?
It is. And so yesh is a verb. And yesh is as complicated as it gets, right? Because as a noun, that is raven. And as a verb, yesh means to fool, to lie, to deceive,
Trickster.
to act like you know what you're doing, but you don't really know what you're doing. Like me teaching these classes. So yeah, that's where you get yesha. And so I think it could work as a mask, but probably like a mask to pretend to be something you're not, which you could argue is the same with ʼadudli.átk, but okay.
I have a big question about this verb because I was going through it last Thursday in my other Tlingit class, and I was actually supposed to ask you this. So shkamtli, because it has that dli in it, or shkamtli. So it has that one where it's like if it's reflected, but it's lying to yourself. So we were wondering how come it has the reflection aspect to it when you're not.
I think we could find some examples here. Yeah, so this is a good question. So if we go to English in the dictionary and we go look up pretend. Oh, I guess I gotta. No, we're not gonna find. Okay, I gotta put it in there somehow. I don't think I've put this in there yet, so maybe let me just talk to you folks about it. So there's these really interesting pairs of things where you can basically have s'igéidi root, and then you have kush. Well, I guess it would be s'igéidi. And here you'd have same thing. Oops. Okay. So what are these roughly translating to? Anybody know these two? S'igéidi and alak'áchʼ.
Doing it to yourself.
It's kind of built in there with the reflexive, but once you have s'igéidi, it becomes its own kind of different thing, which is really, you can analyze it for sure. But yeah, I would say s'igéidi. Any other guesses? Predictions? I think you find a whole bunch of verb roots and you would end up with pretend to, like, root, whatever the root is. Like, so I guess we'll find examples here. Let me show you. This is where I started to sort of kind of figure this thing out. I don't want to say figure it out because I haven't figured it out yet, but I started to. René figured it out. So if we go look up pretend in the verb dictionary, we see alak'áchʼ, but then we get a whole bunch of things right here where it starts to reveal a pattern. Pretend to eat. That's a command. So you could say, I pretended to eat. And then you have pretend to read, pretend to be sick, pretend to be dead, pretend to walk, pretend to run. All of them revealing this pattern. The reflexive pronoun, which we don't even have to, this is one of those cases where it's like you've got these things, but once you put them in this certain pattern, it just means this whole other thing. So for me, s'igéidi, which would be SH, this which is generally like a mouth, but it's a little bit different. A DL classifier, D plus L classifier, pretend. Neek, sick. To read. To eat. Na. So what's really interesting is most of these have, and I don't know if you could do this with every single verb that's out there, but this is how you talk about pretending to do something. So now, if alak'áchʼ on its own is to, I think it's pretending to be Raven. That's literally what our verb is, to lie. Pretend to Raven. Which is deep. This is deep. This is the deep end of the pool for sure. And then a similar pattern, which, once I looked here, and then I looked up, let me cancel this. And then I looked up a verb that's really close to this as far as where it's at in the dictionary, is to play. Ashkul'ita, ashkul'qishja, ashkul'squcha, ashkul'táawáḳ, ashkul'k'ena, ashkul'kitza, ashkul'qeqach, ashkul'tatja. So now you have a similar thing, but you don't, the classifier seems to be moving around a little bit. But it's like one of these things where like these things just get frozen in there. And now you have to play, right? So coming back to here, so we have uwaya, and then we have inati. And then you can also have noun, yach. Oh, I gotta look this verb up. Hold on. Okay. So for playing games like charades or stuff like that, so we've got yachyati. We also had so what would noun yachduatin be saying?
It looks like.
Mm-hmm. And then uwaya.
Sounds like.
Oh, that's okay. We're gonna have to add that one. Add that one.
It's similar to?
Yeah, so this one I would say it resembles. And let me talk about the difference between these two. So this one would work more like it looks like a porcupine, right? It looks, so you're really saying it's not that thing, but it looks like that thing, or you're not sure what it is. Like it looks like a porpoise, But this one would be like something caused it. It's a little bit more of like a metaphor. Like, for example, it looked like the beaver scratched down the bark, right? That's how it's said in that one story. Where this one is more like, yeah, those things look just like each other. Like you could say, hedgehog, ye'uski, alak'áchʼ uwaya. And now we could go noun, T'aawáḳ. So what if I said, ʼatánk?
Be like a dog?
And what if I said, ʼatánk?
So would that one be more like acting like a dog?
Yeah. And then T'aawáḳ.
Sounds like noun.
Oh, shit, sorry.
Okay. And then, so when you get to yachyati, it's not really doesn't really have to do with looking like something, right? And so this is where like a lot of what we do, I think, in advanced Tlingit is a lot of fine-tuning stuff. Like these are very similar concepts. And in some cases, some of them can almost be interchangeable, right? So I see there's stuff popping up in the chat. Okay, no worries. So if you said like, if I said, "Ach wecha," what does that say?
Person like me?
Mm-hmm. And if someone said that, I wouldn't necessarily think like you guys are the same person or have the same personality. I would think you two are the same clan. But, you know, it kind of depends on the context. You could probably use it to say those other things too. But you could say, ḳutuliwóotl'i weqa. Or I could say, wooch how da'a ḳatqa Joe Nelson. Atray one qanins weqa yehas uji. Qaneeq sati. I don't know how to say that. Khatxati, could you say that? Khatxati, Joe. Okay. Okay. We're gonna cheesh. We did a lot. We did a lot. We had a lot. We went in a lot of different directions, and it's good stuff, right? There's once you start getting into the whole universe of the Tlingit language, like that is a humongous universe. So don't feel bad if sometimes you feel like you're just drifting out on the ocean, a little tiny piece of wood, because you're not. I mean, you might, and even if you are, we're going to paddle the canoe over and pull you back into the canoe. But there's a whole lot of stuff, and I also think the progress is no longer linear. When you're doing beginning language learning, it's pretty linear. Like, okay, I'm learning these words, I'm learning these phrases, learning these words, learning these phrases. But when you start getting to the point where you're asking your mind to assemble an entire language, especially a language as Tlingit is as rich and complex as it gets as far as languages go. It's an endless universe. It's amazing. It's so much fun. But if you're ever feeling like you're just not getting it, that's probably not true. It's just we're always getting to this point where it's more than we know. It's more than we know. It's more than we know. And that could be the frustrating part, is that it'll never stop, that sort of process. But I think that is what it takes. And the next thing you know how to say this thing. And you can, then someone says this thing, you're like, oh yeah, I understand that. Weird. I don't know how, but I do, right? And so it's very fun for me because it is nonlinear, and I kind of like nonlinear things, but it's also very chaotic and scattered, which I think could be disorienting for folks who are used to being in control and knowing what's going on. It's like, I don't even know what's going on. But the thinking brain, it's fine. ʻatánk kush s'igéidi ajoy ḥwasaqaqwati qunaqayaqyati yahashil kohastundatani ajoy qaqwati yahayejini ḥwasaq yiqwati llakatyuhan yewe yehwaji yahashil kohas wasa hastutu yaqe yande ya yantutlaaqi yahadachkankiyan hadachkankisani hastu ya akatataya yande gachtusane qaachtu yaqe qunakh aya yakhana ye gachitlaq llakatyuhan yigo ayakhwan kulyakhana itkhaya just kadain ilsa ijuni tin ya hashil kohas yis at aya atude haskakwati yakwati yuhan kalchish
Ganalchish ḳuné hatiyeyati.
ye awa
Cheese. Cheese.